I'd like to call the City of Elkhorn Common Council January 9th, 5:30 meeting to order. If we could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under
Roll call, please.
Bruce Lechner,
Here.
Tim Sharota,
Here.
Gary Payson Jr.,
Here.
Ron Dunwoody,
Here.
Scott McClory,
Here.
Ken Minella is absent, Carol Young. Here.
Next, we have public comment. Anybody here for public comment tonight? That will move on to the consent agenda. We have the council meeting minutes of December 19th, 2022, and a temporary Class B beer and Class B wine license for VIP Services Incorporated at 811 East Geneva Street for a casino fun night on February 18th, 2023 from 6 to 10 p.m. We have a motion?
I move we approve the consent agenda on both items A and B.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion on those? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed for the consent agenda. Next, report of city officers. Mayor, I have nothing tonight. Adam?
I have a few things tonight. One, just wanted to recognize that new police officer Jacob Rockweiler recently completed his police academy, so he has started his PTO training. So just wanted to recognize that. Two, wanted to thank the water department. They had some emergency work during the holidays, so unfortunately they got called out Christmas Eve, I think Christmas, day after Christmas as well for multiple reasons, water main break, as well as some problems at the couple of the treatment plants. So I appreciate that they were out there responding during the holidays. Wanted to just again remind everybody that the tax statements for installments are due January 31st. And then next council meeting will be January 23rd. And Dale Breckert, actually from FOTH, is going to be coming and doing a presentation updating the council on where we're at with the water projects. They came last winter, so this will be kind of a good review. I have encouraged them to try to keep the presentation to 20 minutes, so hopefully it won't be as long as I guess the one that was maybe a year ago. So, and just also wanted to thank Lacey's been working hard on trying to get the HRA and FSA transition with Associated Bank, so thank you, Lacey, for that. And our entire finance and admin team in terms of getting the step pay structure going, as well as we're a little short-staffed right now due to some FMLA issues, so really appreciate everybody in the admin and finance who's been helping out and trying to man the window and help each other out, so thank you to everybody for that. And lastly, I'm going to actually just turn it over to the chief real quick to give a quick update about the recent incident on East Market Street.
So I think it was January 2nd is the child enticement you're referring to. It's an ongoing investigation. We're still following up on information we received that day as well as subsequent to that press release. So I can't share it in great detail other than just say we are actively following up on some of those information that people gave to us. So that's about the extent right now.
Thanks, Chief. And that's it for me, Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Adam. New business. First one, discussion and possible decision regarding proposed resolution 23-01, a resolution authorizing submission of application for Vibrant Spaces grant. Everybody, we heard this last meeting, and do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Do we have a second? Second. We have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion on the application, submission of application? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed for resolution 23-01. Next, discussion and possible decision regarding proposed resolution 23-02, a resolution authorizing city administrator or designee to apply for grants on behalf of the city of Elkhorn. We talked about this last meeting and move forward.
Yes, 02.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed for resolution 23-02. Next, discussion and possible decision on creating and issuing an RFP RFP for collection and disposal of residential solid waste and recyclable materials to commence in 2024. I know our contract's coming up with the one we currently have, and I think we've had numerous talks about sending something out to get some more firms, correct? And Adam brought this up, that we should probably start on it now if we're gonna do this, so.
So shouldn't this go to the committee level? And then aldermen join in and offer their concerns and ideas?
Can, or if we wanna send out the RFPs and then goes to the committee to go over them. I'm not sure how council would like to do it.
Is there if I
Sure.
comment? So I put a memo in the packet. You guys have probably seen it. So before we send out an RFP, I'd like to get some feedback from either the council or maybe a subcommittee of the council, if that's the route that you guys would choose to go. More specifically regarding, I mentioned a couple of things, like the term of the contract. The current one was 8 years. Maybe we should maybe look at a 5-year, something shorter, so we're not locked in this long. Include more clauses for compliance and unsatisfactory service. And one of the things I mentioned that we probably should take a look at, just from feedback that we get here at the, in the office, is maybe provide recycling, at least maybe have an alternate bid for recycling once a week instead of once every 2 weeks. So those are the sorts of things that I wanted to get input from either the council or the subcommittee on prior to putting together an RFP, just to make it sure that it's clear when we're sending that out as far as what the city wants for services. I know we talked about like waste oil before, and if, I don't know that if any firms are providing that, if any contractors are, but those are things that I would want to incorporate prior to getting that out.
Well, and that would be part of going through the committee before you do the request is, us understanding what it is that we want. That, I guess I wasn't clear enough, but we should go through the committee and come up with what it is that we want you to quote, in my opinion.
Would you like to make a motion, Gary, to send that to MSU?
I will make a motion to send it to MSU, yay.
And I'll second.
We have, we have a motion and a second. Any further questions or discussion?
Would it be worthy to either send feedback directly to the chair of that committee or to whom, as far as like, what do you think overall of the service? What kinds of things, do you want to have added? Or I guess I'll defer to you guys on the committee. How would you like us to get that feedback that Matt was talking about?
I would say send it to the committee as a whole,
Okay.
and Matt, of course, and Adam.
Right. So like within the next couple of weeks, you guys would be meeting on it? I
Do
mean,
you think
I
it
know, I
will-
know the timing sucks because you just had a meeting today, but
Do you think it'll take longer than a half an hour? Would you prefer a different time slot than before a council meeting?
Well, we just talked about it in the meeting about doing another
Right.
meeting that's gonna take some time. So I would say have it for the last meeting in February before council. Can we do that?
January or February?
February, please? Because then you'll be back too.
We do have an election on February 21st. In February, we would have council meetings the 6th and the 20th, which I might ask you to move to the 22nd.
Do it after that, or do it before that? If we move council, then we'll do the MSU before that.
5 o'clock
Yeah.
on the 22nd.
If the council moves that date.
Okay.
Do you think you're gonna need more than a half an hour with Falls presentation too?
That'll have to be a different meeting. I'm thinking that one we'll probably end up with a couple meetings going on. Fourth will have either before that, in my opinion, if we can.
Trying to make sure.
Yeah, I don't want them combined because it'll be just too much.
They're not combined. Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed to move that to MSU. Next, discussion regarding amending City Code Section 1.041E to start terms of members of Plan Commission, Matheson Memorial Library Board, Board of Zoning Appeals, Recreation Advisory Board, and Forestry Board on a uniform date rather than staggered throughout the year. Adam brought this up, and he just asked if we could maybe try to clean this up, because it's kind of a nightmare. There's different starting ones in, what'd you say, April, one could be May, all throughout the year, correct?
That's correct, Mayor.
I'll make a motion to make them uniform start and ending terms.
Motion, do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any question or discussion on that?
I should raise, Mayor, that the Plan Commission is required by statute to be done in April. And it would, if you're going to set this, it would seem that that would be the date to work off of, as opposed to some of the others. I couldn't find anything about library board or advisory board for the rec or forestry board by statute. Obviously, Board of Zoning Appeals is mentioned by statute. And I also see under the Board of Zoning Appeals, you're actually supposed to be putting together 2 alternate members each time and appointing them as well, which I didn't know. But otherwise, that's the only suggestion I had.
I'll amend my motion to phrase it in such a way that the term is to begin on or about April 1st and then terminate March 30th of the following year. Is that what you're asking me to do, Ward?
It is, and on some of these boards, they have to be staggered. And I guess all you're doing, I understand the goal and the method of the motion here. I don't know that you need to amend it for that. We can set it up the way that we're talking about without that amendment.
Okay.
But I just want to make sure that everyone understands some of these memberships have to be staggered and they'll be appointed in a 1, 2, and 3 year term.
Does your statute say when in April?
Or
For
the Plan Commission?
Or Planning Commission, either or?
It says April 1st.
It does, yep.
Okay, so that's prior to the election. I just thought it'd be handy if it was after the election.
That was
Or
actually
in
the
rear.
goal, yeah, to hopefully
So that's
coincide.
not gonna work.
That's not going to
Yeah.
work.
Right.
Of course not.
That's a state statute, correct, Ward?
It is 6223.
Who's on the forestry board?
That'll have to be discussed at a.
Well, it says it's here for
another
discussion.
date.
Do we have a forestry board? Honestly, do we have one?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
We
I'm
might
like,
be able to clean that up.
wouldn't be
when
the
we do
first time we
this.
had something I didn't know about, but.
There are state statutes regarding a forestry board at the county level. I haven't been able to see anything at a city or township level.
We might be able to clean that up a little bit.
So would it make sense to do the one that we have to do by state statute, that date, and then do the other one May 1st, so then it's after the elections? Everything else after?
I guess
I know it's gonna be a mess, but
Yeah.
it's,
That's a policy decision. There's nothing legal that can prevent you from doing that.
I'm just looking for the standpoint, so, as we all switch over, mayor switches over, they have the chance to pick versus being handed whatever they get.
Police and fire, I don't think is on this list, but they have specifically, they have to be between the last Monday in April and the first Monday in May appointed. Right?
Adam, do you have
Was the
input?
go- Was the goal for this, Adam, for the lay participants or for the council participants? Like the civilians?
Yeah, I mean, the goal was for the council to be able to better maintain and manage these boards, because as you can tell right now, I mean, when you've got a July 1 and January 1 and September 30th and a May 1st, I mean, trying to verify what the terms are, what members are, going to have to be replaced. It was just better administratively. The hope was that at the reorganizational meeting in April, do it all at once, and that way, if you need to appoint a couple people, you can take care of it then. I understand Ward saying that, okay, April 1 may be set in stone for the planning commission, but the rest of them, hopefully, you could at least adjust. And the goal, Ward's still gonna have to come back and actually give you a proposed ordinance to vote on and stuff, so, nothing's gonna be approved tonight per se, but just, if you're supportive of having Ward, start that endeavor, and if he can find, I guess, any state statutes that would also, besides the planning commission, that would prohibit you from switching that, obviously, he'll research that between now and,
I did look, I haven't found any yet,
so.
So aside from the planning commission and the police, and the fire commission board, the rest of them, we can just do as policy decisions internally sometime after the term, after the election, I mean.
sure. And if
Okay.
you're gonna put it in, if you're gonna codify it, to Adam's point, it needs to be in there in a uniform fashion.
And even at least the police and fire one, which right now says, it's like that third Tuesday in April through early May, so that actually kind of coincides with what
It would fall in
fit what
line
they were
with
trying
this.
to do, yeah.
Okay.
I think with your motion to have city attorney move forward with the ideas that we've given them, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
In a second?
Yes, second.
Okay. Any other questions or discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed to move forward to amend some of the starting dates uniform for the city attorney to work on. Next, discussion regarding pay for plan commission members. Adam found in the thing that Plan Commission members have been getting paid $25 per meeting, which was brought up a long time ago. But there's no set, what do you want to say, ordinance or thing that they're supposed to be getting paid. Correct?
Yeah, and just for clarification, our finance, this is actually Corey brought this to my attention, and I appreciate Corey alerting me to it. And Corey found some research basically that there were some ordinances in the late 1990s where they were included, the pay was included on your yearly, the city was approving these pay amounts along with the council pay and other elected appointed officials through the late 90s, and then they got taken off that list in the early 2000s, but still been getting paid the $25 per meeting since then. So that's kind of how this came up.
So Adam just wanted to bring it up if we wanted to, I mean, continue paying, but we wanted to make sure we can get a document out there saying.
Yeah, that's correct, Mayor.
Do we know what other planning commission members in different communities get paid? If this $25 has been going on for 20 years, 30 years?
You guys want to have Adam research and bring back about this or not?
We're not even sure that they are paid in other communities, are we? Nothing in the statutes that says they have to be paid, and $25 a meeting, I don't think anybody's doing it for the money. Just saying.
That'll take us right into our next topic.
And I'm not saying whether they should or shouldn't, but I just, as I did point out in the memo, none of the other boards or commissions are getting paid. So, they are the only commission right now that is, so.
Probably should be consistent. It's either we're paying or we're not. And to Scott's point, I sure don't do this for the money. So I'm doing it for the city and for the civic duty of everybody else.
Guys' decision, what you want to,
Right now, we pay them,
right,
but we don't pay any of the other commissions.
correct.
It was originally in an ordinance when I was in high school, and then it fell off and was never anywhere else.
How many years ago was that?
Plenty.
Your Honor, Your Honor, she opened the door.
However, there was at least a year where they went unpaid, and yet no one has any clue why. So, do you want research done, or do you want to just, there's nothing saying they are supposed to get paid, so.
Yeah, let's do some research, I guess. I guess for now, remain status quo. We'll continue to pay them.
So we should,
And then, yeah, let's check our comparables. About same size, municipalities, blah, blah, blah. And of course, that's gonna take us down a rabbit hole about, okay, what about the forestry commission or whatever that was called that we,
and let's not overlook the September 31st, which doesn't
Yes, I did
exist.
see that, but I didn't want to just throw that out.
what's September 30th?
Yeah, it says September 31st, so someone's terms never end.
Nice, nice.
We'll just
I guess,
continue discussion.
I guess, but,
Okay.
I mean, but for now, I would say, if they're getting paid, they continue to get paid. Unless unless you guys want to do something else in the interim, I really don't.
That's one that we pay them just once a year at the end of the year, so we've paid them for last year now, and we won't pay them again until the end.
Someone keeps track of every single meeting that they go to? Would that be you? Okay. I was hoping it was somebody.
Then does it say that they have to attend? Do you know?
They have to attend the meeting to get paid
Okay.
for it, yes.
Okay. Okay,
Come back, I guess, when you have some information.
that Adam?
Yes, Mayor, I do.
Next, discussion regarding pay for common council members. Adam brought this up, and I said we can bring it forward again. The last time was 2016, and we didn't know if we wanted to have it change or not, but it goes in, it affected, I think what I understood, Adam, is when you're elected. That's where your next term is when you're,
Yes, it goes into effect next time you get elected, yes.
so if you did change it, it wouldn't be until you got elected.
And if you notice from the ordinance 1519, you'll see that there's $10 difference between the odds and the evens. And I don't know where that started, but it, you know, because well, if you're running, you know, then they're not, and if we're running, they're not, whatever. That's where that overlap continually.
Yeah, that was
It's a-
$100.
It's a
Every time-
$100 difference.
What'd I say, $10?
Yeah.
See, that's why I don't do math. So I have some thoughts on this. When this was put on the agenda, I gave it a lot of thought, and I think, like I always try to do, I always think that there's some common ground. I don't think that we should do this every 5 to 7 years, because this is the way it's been for 20-plus years I've been here. All of a sudden, someone's like, hey, you guys haven't gotten a raise in 6 years, 8 years, 10 years, and then we all vote, and then we just kind of all forget about it. As city employees, we're not full-time, we don't get benefits. As part-time employees or at will or whatever, ad hoc, whatever you want to call it, I'm going to call it a stipend. The cost of living continues to go up for everybody, including us. Do I think that we deserve some crazy raise? No, it's not what I'm advocating for. What I am advocating for, though, is to come up with a way to codify this so that it's not a every 6 years, every 8 year kind of an occurrence, but an agreed upon amount of an increase for all of us as fellow city employees, which mirrors the current philosophical stance we have now that says if you do at least average to above average, you're going to get somewhere in the neighborhood of 1.5% to 2% annually. I think that we should be able to get right in line with that. 2% for those of us that make $53.80 before taxes is way different than someone makes $110,000 annually at 2%. So I guess the camp that I'm falling into is if we need quote unquote catch-up pay for the last 7 years, fine, we can discuss that. But going forward, I think we should just get a standard X amount of percent, whether, you know, whatever is agreed upon by the consensus of the body, and that's what we get going forward each and every year, just like the city employees, and we don't come back to this every 6, 8, 10 years when it slips our minds.
Your 2% of your 5380 is $107, so.
Exactly. So it's not gonna break the bank. But to be fair, we
Right.
also haven't had a pay increase since
Right.
2015.
I agree, I mean,
You know,
Coming back every
nothing's
6
gone down.
years.
What's that?
coming back every 6 years is not the
Right.
right way to do it either.
Right.
Is
So-
this data accurate, though? I mean, it looks to me like there's typos all in here. So can we make it correct and up to date? And then, I think that's a great idea, Scott. But I don't count, so.
I appreciate your opinion. So, like I said, I guess that's my jumping off point. You guys want to weigh in and go work backwards from there as far as do we need catch-up pay for the last 7 years or whatever? I don't really think we do. So, anyway, I don't know what you guys think, but that's what I came up with.
That seems fair and reasonable. I remember the very first time I was on the council, my very first meeting, you had brought it up and it was on the agenda for a pay raise that the council members hadn't had one in like 12, 15 years. It was ridiculous.
And this way we don't have to remember.
Here, in this same program?
I don't see why not.
Yes, I would.
Yeah,
They're the alderman, municipal judge on this current one,
right.
so.
Unfortunately, I couldn't find it. I rattled my brain and looked at some notes I couldn't remember. Sometime around this same period of time, the municipal judge came to us within the last 5 to 7 years and wanted a fairly substantial pay increase for his municipal clerk, Claudia.
Last year.
Was it just last year? I think it was
Last
the
year,
last-
yeah.
I was here.
Okay, so I don't know if that person needs to be included in this as well, or that's a different thing. I mean,
She's
all
on
of
the
us that
step
are,
structure.
well, I'm sorry?
She's on the step structure, I believe.
Okay, so she's not in this discussion, but obviously the mayor would be, and the judge would be.
Is the judge still making the same amount of money he made in whatever date is?
16, yes.
2016, he hasn't gotten a raise?
Not to my
Since
knowledge, it would have come before us, I would think,
Had to have, wouldn't it?
right? Yeah, so I'm
It's
assuming
not a
he's,
sure thing.
I'm sure he's in the 2016 club still, so. Anyway, like I said, I don't know what that magic number would be. I'm open to debate that, X% on our base salary every year. And we codify it, and then it's put to bed, and we don't have to worry about it. And we don't forget about it again.
Yes, just so I can understand, are you saying that you want an annual review and it would set up a sort of a COLA type idea? Or to match
Well,
whatever
the
your
annual
other
review, I
employees
don't know
are
who would
getting?
conduct it. The COLA thing, yes, but the annual review, I don't know who would conduct it. I mean,
I
if
meant-
we're not doing our jobs, we get voted out.
No, no, I didn't mean annual review in the sense of, let's look at it and talk it over. I
Yeah.
meant that there would be an automatic
Right.
change as opposed to council members. As you all know, I've been doing this a long time, and council members throughout the 30 years I've been doing it have always been reluctant to discuss any kind of pay for themselves because of the political ramifications of it, et cetera. If you codified something so that there was always a way to look at it, then it would come up and it wouldn't be once every 5 years and then everybody has to shift in their seat when they finally do bring it up. If it's there so that it's in your code that it's going to be reviewed and adjusted, should say not reviewed, but adjusted to match this cost of living within that time frame, then it never becomes a political football in the future. Just saying.
Can we add it to the part-time wages resolution that gets approved every year?
I think it's just a, whatever, 2%, 1%, whatever it is, you put in there, correct? Does that mean, is that what council is looking? Just
My only
that-
concern with the COLA is you catch the COLA on the wrong year and it could just be through the roof.
So, yeah,
So that's why I'm saying for us,
just a certain percent, or,
yeah, I would feel most comfortable with that.
Just a percent, that's it.
So 2% every year,
Whatever we agree upon.
January 1st, and we'll start January 1st
Well,
of
it has to,
2024.
apparently it kicks in when you get reelected.
Or-
No member can vote for a pay increase while they're currently serving. So anything that would happen, whether it be annual or some other term, maybe biannual, for example, because it's when you're having the elections, right? Then that would apply for the next incoming people. So you're never going to quite catch up with everybody being on the same pay,
Right.
but it'll always keep hopscotching.
So if we pass this, the people that just did circulation paperwork would get their bump in April
If we're elected.
if you're, is anyone running against you?
Not yet.
Okay, then.
They might be now.
For two, well, how much was it? $2 and?
$107 a year.
Yeah. And I get your point. That's why these are off by $100. Because it's always the leapfrogging, so, yeah. And I'm fine if 2% is what we think is fair. I'm totally good with that. I think that's reasonable.
I guess the one question I had when researching this, looking or trying to look into it was whether or not, is it required to specify the wages, or I'm not sorry, they're not the wages, specify the council salaries in the actual city code or not? That's a question. I asked the league, I haven't gotten an answer back on that, because that's obviously going to impact whether you're doing it by an annual resolution or whether you're doing it by a city code change. And hopefully maybe it's something the board can also.
I'll look at it, but my gut feeling is that there's no requirement that the salaries be published right in the codification. But I'll be sure before I give you a final opinion on that.
But it's a matter of public record anyway.
It is.
I mean, Johnson.
So council's okay with Ward and Adam working on this and bringing it back to us with the 2%?
Ron, you like 2?
That's fine.
Everyone's good with 2?
Then just started, so it's annually, every year.
Well, since we're doing research, why don't we research and see what other areas are raising or not raising? Again, I'm not here for the money. That's for sure. And
Correct.
after some of the meetings that we've had talking about raising people's taxes, it's kind of a big push button for me. So I'm not in favor of spending more money needlessly. Because again, I don't do this for the money. We're here to do our civic duties as far as I know.
And then one other, to your point, Mayor, did you really want us to consider it to be a biannual change because it would match the elections that way as opposed to annually? Because otherwise nothing's really happening in those other off years because you can't increase it.
Right.
So like for my term, I end in April. So whoever takes over this position afterwards would get the new bump, and then he would be stuck at that until the following election.
Exactly.
For your term.
For the
That was my
entire
thought.
term, the pay is this for the entire term. So if we end up going down that road, that would make more sense.
Trying to track what both you and Ward just said.
So it'd be for your new term, you'd have that pay for 2 years,
2% would be for 2 years.
2 years.
Oh, I got you.
And then the next election, it would go up 2% more
Right.
for the next term.
Always kind of the
Next cycle.
theory of unintended consequences. If you say it's annual, then you've got this backup amount, and it's gonna keep popping up, and it's gonna make it more complicated for Corey, I guess, is who does that, but I don't think it's necessary. I think if you do it biannually that match the elections, then you've got that rate of pay for the entire term.
Okay.
So if you could do a little research too, Adam, on your end, and bring that back with numbers. Any other question or discussion on that? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Sure.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone.